All right, so today we want to talk about the evaluation process that we use here at Winfield. So can you give us a little detail about what we use for our evaluation process?
We used the KEEP 2. It started with the KEEP 1. It was negotiated through negotiations with WNEA. And we meet the requirements of the Kansas Statute 72903. Basically, you know, the dates, the times, all that type of stuff. We set through negotiations, discussed it, and we looked at others like McCrell, creating our own, and the teachers on the negotiating team and the administration at that time felt that the KEEP 2 was the best option for our district.
Do you still like using the KEEP 2?
I like it because, me personally, because teachers do their own self-evaluation and then they go in and set goals based on what they want to work on instead of it being a get-you type evaluation process. So they select their goals, they provide the input, they archive the material they want to, you know, include in the evaluation. And you know, for the teachers that are once every 3 years, those who have the experience, they do it by February 15th, and then it's a little exhausting for new teachers because they have to have it by the 60th day both semesters. And trying to pull in, archive all this stuff, it's a lot of work. And if you're an administrator and you have 10 or 12 to do, it's really a lot of work. But did I answer your question?
You pretty much did. You give me your thoughts on it. What's a critique you would have of the KEEP 2 though?
Just the time. I mean, the amount of time it takes. I think it works well. But for a teacher at the classroom, I mean, you're trying to pull all this, archive all this stuff. I think sometimes we try to get too many goals. You know, you go through and you fill out the rubric and they may select one goal on each of the 4 pages or the 4 areas. And that's just too much. I think you just specify in one area you really want professional development and then focus on that. You know, don't try to do too much, especially for a new teacher.
Okay. Let's see. That one. What are your thoughts on value-added assessments? Because we've had a lot of discussions about this. We've been getting a lot of literature on a lot of the disadvantages of using value-added assessments and some of the arguments for as well.
I'm kind of like, does it meet the need of the person being assessed? Did you talk about that on your pros and cons?
Like what the person needs?
Yeah.
We did a little bit. I agree with you there. Like maybe the assessments that they're being valued on isn't exactly what that teacher needs improvement in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way I see it. I mean, it's like with students, we all learn in different ways, and the assessment needs to be designed to give you the feedback of the goal you're working on.
Yeah.
And so it may work well for some, it may not for others. It depends on, you know, when they do their rubric and they select their goals, or even without the rubric, does it provide the data they want? So it may work for you, but it may not work for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a very good answer, but that's
it works though, because like we've been having this discussion on value-added assessments and using those with the evaluation process as well, because we've done reading on, you know, the effects that it has, like doing a building wide, you know, having others that aren't in the content, you know, being responsible as well.
Like our art teachers and music teachers that don't have like a state assessment to go off of, but yet their pay raises and their assessments are based off of kids that they don't teach or a subject they don't teach.
Yes.
So that was one of the major cons of that value-added assessment.
It's, you know, if I have a group and I'm an English 9 teacher and I can show tremendous growth, but like you said, in another field it may not.
And it depends on the year or class that
Yeah,
you have.
which one you get.
You know,
there's too many variables to
Yes.
get an accurate assessment on that.
But if I like it and I can show growth, that may be the one.
That's true.
There's pros and cons, lots of pros and cons.
Okay.
And I go back to basically triangulation. If I really want to show growth, it can't be just from one tool or one document. I need multiple ways to assess.
And that's something we've been learning though too. We have to have multiple ways to assess and evaluate. And we, you know, adding in the value-added assessments, you know, it can be really is kind of a tricky thing to get into.
Well, that would be like coaches, I'm getting off track here, but am I gonna evaluate a coach just on their win-loss record?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not, I wanna see, you could have a basketball coach with, everybody's 4'8", and,
He's
You know,
evaluating off of how
yeah.
many wins that they have.
yeah, or
Yeah.
why aren't your kids taller? I mean, it's hard to do, so.
Yeah.
Recently, we did some reading and some discussion on walkthroughs and about doing those. And I know, especially at the high school here, we don't really do much walkthroughs. We don't have many that go on. What are your thoughts on walkthroughs in general?
I like walkthroughs because it helps administrators know what's going on in the classroom. With the elementary, we use McGrail, and then the high school admin have it available. And they go through and the areas they get in the classrooms, they know the curriculum, they know the teaching strategies, small group, large group, differentiating instruction, all of those things those elementary principals see and monitor and do all the time. But, they have, Jeff has probably 24 teachers that he does it on. We're at the high school with 70 teachers over here.
That's a lot.
It is hard for our administrators to get through every classroom and do that as much as we would like them to. We do monitor that. I have the background pass to McCrell, and I can go in and see who's doing it, the comments they're making, if they're, the key is, and what I like to stress is, when you do that walkthrough, report back to the teacher, let them know what you
Yes.
saw, and have those
And
discussions.
that's one of the things that I talked about is like the problem is, some administrations would go in, they do the walkthrough, but they would never get the feedback to the teacher
Right.
about what they saw. And or they did it maybe like every once in a while, but it wasn't done with fidelity, at least like once a month or something.
And that, it doesn't work if it's a hit and
Yeah,
miss type thing
yeah,
to walk through. And I like it because when I was a middle school principal, I walked through every classroom twice a day. That was just, there were things that could sit on my desk I could do after hours or
Yeah.
before I came to work. There was nothing more important than being in the hallways and in the classrooms and then telling you, hey, I saw that, I loved what you did. I saw you guys working on this lesson and that was great. And I learned the curriculum and I could, talk about what they were doing in class instead of just being the guy down in the office that
Yeah.
herds cattle. They really need to know what's going on in the classroom, and that's why walkthrough is so important. And if you guys, I can show you what's on our McCrell walkthrough if you want me to do that
oh,
sometime.
that'd be
too.
great,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
Yeah, definitely.
You wanna ask him that last part about unions?
Yeah, when we did transfer over to the Keep 2 program for our evaluation system, what kind of work did you have to do with the unions? Was there any kind of kickback from them in the fact that they didn't like certain evaluation tools? Did you have any issues with the unions when it
No,
came to the evaluation process?
We work very well together. Now, I go way back with unions. I've been on both sides, and I was a principal in Wichita when there was two different unions and the administration, and it was I learned a lot when it didn't go well. And I like IBB and what we do here because we talk about here's the pros and cons, can it be ratified, will the board approve it? And it's not we're not out to get anybody, but it's what's best for students, which means what helps teachers most in the classroom. And that's why we all sat down and said, here's our goal, we want to help teachers, which then helps students in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a tool that's not out to get anybody, it's not meant to, there's really no place in there to put negative comments. It's about you select a coach, Joe
Mhm.
selects a goal, and then he works on his goal. And all the feedback I'm gonna give him is based on your progress towards your goal.
Yeah.
So that was the whole discussion what I remember 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
It was very positive, it went very quickly, it was, and we had to do it again with social workers and with nurses, which the Keep 2 didn't really fit. So what we did was we said, you go to your professional organizations, you do the same type of thing that Keep 2 does. You use the language that your professional organizations want, in your area, social work or counseling or nursing, and then we'll put that into the Keep. That way, once again, it's based on the goals you want and your progress towards your goals, not about whether your rows are straight or you're on time or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's not monitored in any of our evaluation tools. It's all about you guys select your goal, and what can we do to help you get there?
Awesome.
That's the only question I had. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very
Yeah,
much
thank
for
you.
spending some time. I know
Yeah, I'll be
you're
glad to.
busy, and
And if
we
you-
appreciate that.
If you need the statutes and all that kind of stuff, I make sure our principals follow it, so I have the 9003 statute if you want to see it, and that just tells you the 60th day for new teachers and the February 15th. And then the KSDE sent out the requirements. When they changed to this new format where with the Keep 2, they sent a list of requirements. All the boards, it says your Board of Education will approve an evaluation system that does these things.
Yeah.
Which made it very easy, because then we'd sit down with both teams. This goes back to your other question, I forgot to say this. Then both teams just went through and they looked at the document from KSDE and said, well, does the Keep 2 do this? Does McREL do this? Can we write our own that does this? So I have that document too, if you guys want to see it,
Okay.
Yeah.
which made it,
Yeah.
okay, I'll email both those to you.
Well, thank you.
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
So-
that's something we don't get to see on our side. Sometimes when we're not up there with the unions or in the school board
Yeah.
meetings and stuff like that. So
Yes,
it's kind of
yes.
neat how it works behind the scenes. So, well, again, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Oh,
and
I
appreciate
enjoyed
your
it.
time.
Thank you.
So,
Anytime.
Thank you.
Call me Mark.